There is so much shady stuff going on when it comes to the House and the Epstein documents. I mean, I'm one of those people. I know there are a few, not nearly enough, that just want everything to be revealed so that we can finally find out what's going on. And I have been from the very beginning hesitant to just assert that certain people are guilty of anything. But there's just so much suspicious stuff. And we're gonna get to Mike Johnson and the weird, suspicious moves he's made. But like I saw, as maybe you saw, that tens of thousands of these Epstein documents were given to Congress. I thought, oh, that's great, that's a lot. I mean, then, in the back of my mind, I remember how much sheer volume of files there actually are. And so this represents a very small portion, but whatever, okay, it's the first bit, so that's good news, right? Well then, according to the Democrats, 97% of the files that were released were already publicly available. So it's just feeling like the blue binders from Pam Bondi all over again. It's like you're repackaging the same thing that clearly has already been vetted as not being dangerous to anyone, any powerful or wealthy interest that might be, implicated if the full files were to come out. And so they're released, and then you release them in a binder, and then you release them to Congress. It's like I don't need everything to be rebooted. Our society has largely gotten sick of that lately, haven't we? And so it's public court filings. For example, a 2021 motion from Ghislaine Maxwell to dismiss the superseding indictment against her in federal court. There's some stuff that might be new, like a video clip featuring a young woman recounting her experience as one of Epstein's masseuses. She's blurred out, the interviewer is blurred out, and maybe that makes all the sense in the world, We've said from the very beginning, I have no interest in the victims of Jeffrey Epstein suffering any more issues or pain or harassment for what they've already experienced. But obviously nothing big has been revealed in these documents, or else you would have seen it in the headlines. And so this is just the first step, they say. So don't worry about the fact that this massive tranche of documents is mostly warmed over, refried documents. House Oversight say, oh, don't worry, we're gonna get to the bottom of it. You know how we're gonna do it? We're gonna depose Bill and Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Alex Acosta. Okay, so Alex Acosta might have something to say. He was actually involved in this from very early on. So that actually could be useful. Having Bill and Hillary and James Comey, this is just like, we already suspect that the House isn't interested in actually unveiling what really happened. But now they're just gonna use it as an opportunity to be like, Hillary, you're gonna get a Hillary or whatever. Sure, okay, look, if Bill and Hillary are in the actual real documents, then release them and we'll find out together. And I'll cheer the revelation with all the Republicans or whatever. But it just seems like a massive intentional distraction. And so the birthday book is being subpoenaed. That's good, but we already know what's in it, so I don't know how much that's gonna reveal. And notice that they wanna present the idea, Sharon, that we will stop at nothing to get to transparency. We will subpoena a former president, but not a current one. Not a guy who hung out with Epstein for literally decades, not a guy who was with him, with the women who ended up being the masseuses and everything and might know something from that, or is actually familiar with what's in the documents and is actively covering it up. Nope, got no time to talk to him. He lives in the same city as House Oversight. He could basically walk over there, but no. We're gonna dig up James Comey or whatever. And so it just feels like this is gonna be a massive waste of time. And I'm not the only person that thinks that. Representative Thomas Massie also hinted at, that kind of feels like there's a cover up going on.
One of the things that I find so striking here is that the Bureau of Prisons had to actively sign a waiver to move Ghislaine Maxwell to a facility that is so low security that by the department's own regulation, she cannot be in. And that happens after she met with Todd Blanche and she said that, Donald Trump was always a perfect gentleman. Like, isn't there a role for some congressional oversight here about how exactly that came about?
Oh, absolutely. This is unprecedented, the kind of treatment that she's been given. I think the best way to clear President Trump's name is to release all the files. I actually don't think he's done anything criminal. I think he may be covering for some rich and powerful people that are friends of his. And in fact, some of those billionaires are running ads against me in Kentucky right now. One of them is in Epstein's black book. So we're getting close to the center of power here. And I think Embarrassment is not a reason to conceal all of this stuff. We've got to get it out in the open, regardless of whose friends might be incriminated.
So that was fascinating. Part of it was obscured at the end because I believe Marjorie Greene might have been doing an interview like just out of frame or something. I think that was her voice. But anyway, he's saying a billionaire's running ads against him who's in the black book. I don't know how Thomas Massie knows what's in the black book. I didn't even think there was supposed to be a black book. So I'm a little bit confused about that part. But look, I hope they're successful with the discharge petition. I hope that Massie and Khanna stay on this. We're actually trying to get Representative Khanna on tomorrow's show. He's been on many times. I know he's obviously very busy with this and everything, but we're trying to get him on to see what they can uncover in this. And it's just, there's so much that's suspicious about this. And I have to say, Sharon, I'm obligated, and I'm also inclined to say, like Massie, I'm not saying Donald Trump himself did anything. But if you believe that he didn't, how do you explain all of the ways that he's acted over the past few months? The fact that behind the scenes, he's bad-mouthing the victims to multiple people. And why is Ghislaine Maxwell eating shrimp scampi right now? Like, if it isn't to cover up his own stuff, then what might it be? And Thomas Massie has an alternative theory, which is he's covering for his donors, which if he is doing that, my God, how is that not the biggest scandal in the country? That he is willing to have dozens of women be denied justice and truth because his donors might look bad, or that his donors might have broken the law and he doesn't want them to be brought to justice. What do you think about this?
Look, he's a bad guy, and we know this. Among the other things he said and did right after these courageous women and their attorneys spoke out was say nonsense like, this is just like the grassy knoll and JFK. We released everything. And they still want more. Oh, we don't believe it. Just some kind of down a rabbit hole of dumbness. Nobody's talking about the grassy knoll. We're talking about the women. And here's the thing. I don't have a problem with what Massie said there. I don't. Maybe it is true. Maybe, they know he knows more. He's seen more. They're doing it, I guess, the right way, trying to force it to come out, shame it to come out. There's not enough women in Congress, but nothing should get done. You remember how that one bonehead ex-coach senator, he wouldn't approve these military appointments and promotions, okay? Who was that, Tuberville, whatever. He wouldn't approve anything, okay? Something about abortion. Nothing should get done until you support the women. I don't know what that means or how they could corner it, recruit some of the guys, but nothing should get done until this gets done. Period.
Exactly. Yeah. And if some people might believe, well, Trump just thinks it's a distraction or whatever. Has this helped to get rid of the distraction by dragging it out for months and months and months? But anyway, we're gonna be seeing what happens over the next couple of days. I just want to point out, I should have focused more on it, but Mike Johnson obviously does not want this to happen, even though he keeps going on TV and be like, transparency, transparency, transparency. Don't release the documents. Do not release the documents, because he talked to Trump and Trump doesn't want him to, and Mike Johnson does whatever Trump tells him to, which is cover this up. So instead, he has this other vote that he wants to call where like it allow the Republicans to vote to say, we want oversight to continue the investigation. Okay. Yay, but not if that continuing of the investigation involves releasing the documents or whatever. So utterly meaningless, which Thomas Massie points out. This is a meaningless vote. It's intended to do the exact opposite of the truth, which is fool people into thinking that you want the truth to come out, when clearly you are doing everything you can to stop that. So Mike Johnson is also a very active participant and accomplice in this cover-up.